satanic plot was launched back in the 1760s when it first came into existence under the name of the Illuminati. This Illuminati was organized by one Adam Weishaupt, born a Jew, who was converted to Catholicism and became a Catholic priest, and then, at the behest of the then newly organized House of Rothschild, defected and organized the Illuminati. Naturally, the Rothschilds financed that operation. And every war since then, beginning with the French Revolution, has been promoted by the Illuminati, operating under various names and guises. I say under various names and guises because after the Illuminati was exposed and became too notorious, Weishaupt and his co-conspirators began to operate under various other names. In the United States, immediately after World War I, they set up what they called the Council on Foreign Relations, commonly referred to as the CFR. And this CFR is actually the Illuminati in the United States. And its hierarchy, the masterminds in control of the CFR, to a very great extent, are the descendants of the original Illuminati conspirators. But to conceal that fact, most of them changed their original family names to American-sounding names. For example, the true name of the Dillons, Clarence and Douglas Dillon, once Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, is Lepowski.
The keys to the economy, the control of virtually everything. The Federal Reserve controls everything. Federal Reserve is the government, right? The bureaucracies, the intelligence agencies, to a large extent the military, is all at the beckon of the Federal Reserve, right? The Council on Foreign Relations, which is created and led by the Rockefeller family, which owns J.P. Morgan, which is, of course, a partner bank of the Federal Reserve. This Council on Foreign Relations dictates the foreign policy, right? I'll throw some light in here. The Council on Foreign Relations dictates foreign policy, right? McCain was CFR, of course he was. Hillary Clinton was CFR. George W. Bush was CFR. George H.W. Bush was CFR. They're all CFR. So, yeah, I'm going to turn my light on randomly, periodically, from time to time, so you know it is me. The government of the United States, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the three branches of government, those who seek to control society, cannot do so in our nation, in the United States, in an outright fascistic, totalitarian, or authoritarian manner. They can't do it because it would cause a revolution and they would lose. And they've known this, right? They've known this for a long time. So oligarchs, we will call them, the globalists, the banksters, seek...
In his book, The Character, Claims, and Practical Workings of Freemasonry, first published in 1869. Finney was a former Mason who lived through the Morgan affair. He claimed that justice in the case was impossible because nearly all of the civil offices in the country were in the hands of Freemasons. According to Finney, even the newspapers of the day were completely under their control. Finney writes that it was found that they could do nothing with the courts, with the sheriffs, with the eyewitnesses, or with the jurors, and all their efforts were for a time entirely impotent.
So this turned into a big brouhaha. It was a big Masonic scandal because it was all known.
The Morgan incident became an issue of national importance, not simply because a man was murdered, but more importantly, Americans began to realize that their supposedly democratic country was being secretly controlled by the Masonic Brotherhood.
And this led even to separate political parties, being anti-Masonic political parties being formed, and they were even called the Anti-Masonic Party. They ran candidates for president, and they were significant parties. They weren't just minority parties, so it was a really big deal.
The Anti-Masonic Party was the first third party in American politics, and eventually became the Whig Party, which is more widely recognized. The party itself was led by former President John Quincy Adams, who wrote a collection of letters and essays against Freemasonry.
How can you have a free society when you have people who belong to these secret societies and have sworn these terrible blood oaths? You can't have a free society. And that's what John Quincy Adams was writing about.
Adams wrote, "I do conscientiously and sincerely believe that the order of Freemasonry, if not the greatest, is one of the greatest moral and political evils." As a result of the Morgan incident, a series of official investigations took place. In 1829, a New York State Senate committee published its findings on Masonry, stating that its members were found in almost every place where power is of any importance. 5 years later, in 1834, a joint committee in Massachusetts reported that Masonry was, quote, "a distinct independent government within our own government and beyond the control of the laws of the land by means of its secrecy."
Let's go back to the birth of the Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt was a Jesuit-trained professor of canon law, teaching in Ingolstadt University when he defected from Christianity to embrace the Luciferian conspiracy. It was in 1770 that the professional moneylenders, the then recently organized House of Rothschild, retained him to revise and modernize the age-old protocols of Zionism, which from the outset was designed to give the synagogue of Satan, so named by Jesus Christ, ultimate world domination, so they could impose the Luciferian ideology upon what would remain of the human race after the final social cataclysm by use of satanic despotism. Weishaupt completed his task May 1st, 1776. Now you know why May 1 is the great day with all communist nations to this very day. That was the day, May 1, 1776, that Weishaupt completed his plan and officially organized the Illuminati to put the plan into execution. That plan required the destruction of all existing governments and religions. That objective was to be reached by dividing the masses of people whom he, Weishaupt, termed Goyim, or human cattle, into opposing camps in ever-increasing numbers on political, social, economic, and other issues, the very conditions we have in our country today. The opposing sides were then to be armed and incidents provided which would cause them to fight and weaken themselves and gradually destroy national governments and religious institutions. Again,
so Masons are looking for light, okay? And when you go through the second degree, you ask for more light. And when you go to the third degree, you ask for further light. So here you're going to get light, okay?
Whereupon the Lord parts the veil and asks, "What is wanted?" Adam, having been true and faithful in all things.
Number 3, all influential people trapped into coming under the control of the Illuminati, plus the students who had been specially educated and trained, were to be used as agents and placed behind the scenes of all governments as experts and specialists, so they would advise the top executive.
This, okay? Now let's say I was a Mason, and I was walking down a dark alley and I was being mugged by a crazed midget. Okay, now this is the sign that I would give. Now, handily enough, this looks just like what you would do if you were being held up, right? But actually, this is much older. I mean, this isn't just since the 19th century. You start out like this, And then gradually you bring your hands down into this position. And then finally your hands end up basically in the same gesture as you would be making if you were doing the sign of a Master Mason. Now, but this all kind of flows together, and I'm going to try and do it for you as well as I can. There are also words that go with this, okay? And here's how it goes. You go, "O Lord, my God, is there no help for the widow's son?" So, "O Lord, my God, is there no help for the widow's son?"
And while lowering hands, repeating 3 times the words, "O God, hear the words of my mouth. O God, hear the words of my mouth. O God, hear the words of my mouth."
Then, next we'll go to tokens. And what do we mean by tokens? Well, these are the secret handshakes. And this is the way Masons may know one another in the dark as well as the light. Now, here is an example. This is the pass grip of an entered apprentice. And how you do it is you make a pressure on the first knuckle with your thumb. Then the grip of an entered apprentice, this is first degree, is to have a pressure in the hollow between the 2 knuckles. Then second degree is pressure on the second knuckle. The grip of second degree is the hollow of the second and third knuckle. The third degree pass grip is the third knuckle.
Yes, it was an artery.
The first token of the Aaronic priesthood is given by clasping the right hands and placing the joint of the thumb directly over the first knuckle of the hand in this manner.
We will now give unto you the second token of the Aaronic priesthood with its accompanying name and sign. This token is given by clasping the right hands and placing the joint of the thumb between the first and second knuckles of the hand in this manner.